Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the June 5th meeting of the San Dimas Rotary Club. My name is Steve Scott. I am the president of the club. I have been a Rotarian for about 14 years now. Several-time president, treasurer, secretary. Happy to be here. I am also a State Farm agent in the city of San Dimas. Let's go around the room and give all of our Rotarians an opportunity to introduce themselves. Raymond Foster, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, Steve. Raymond Foster, past president of the Rotary Club of San Dimas.
Great to have you here. Hi, Margarita. How's it going? I always do it every time you put food in your mouth. Every time. I'm sorry.
Hi, Rita McGee, local estate planning attorney.
Thanks for being here. Hi, Sylvia. How's everything today?
Good, good. Thank you, Steve. My name is Sylvia Melendez. I'm the CEO of the San Dimas Chamber of Commerce.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. And Glenn Johnson, how's everything, sir?
Doing fine. Glenn Johnson, member of Satellite Rotary Club.
I'm glad to have you here, Glenn. Hi, Marianne.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing great. And you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Marianne Kistler, member of over 30 years.
And we are glad you're here, Marianne. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
If any other Rotarians jump in along the way, we will give them an opportunity to introduce themselves after our speaker, because our speakers, as always, is why we are here. Our speaker today is Alex Tremble from Connect 2 Lead, going to talk to us today about building lasting connections for business. Alex, welcome so much. Thanks for taking time, and the floor is yours.
Awesome sauce. First of all, I would be remiss if I did not say Steve has a magnificent radio voice. So just FYI. But I'm sure he also has the face for TV. We're gonna go.
There's no camera here for a reason, Alex.
So I've been told I have a very strict 15-minute to 3-hour rule. So I'm gonna be relatively quickly. What I want to do is start off with just asking you all a question. Do y'all have any idea? I have a 10-month-old baby, and he's freaking amazing. He's awesome. But he's just now starting to walk. Question: at what age, at what point do infants develop the fundamentals to walk?
Day one.
Day one.
I mean, my kids started walking early as well.
Really? Day one?
I mean, I don't know.
Anyone else?
I would have said 6 months, but now Rita's got me feeling weak about stuff, so I'm not sure.
I would say it depends on what you define as fundamentals, because when they're beginning to move and crawl and stretch their muscles out, that's when they're beginning to just learn. That's going to all build on itself.
Well, look, here's the deal. Actually, the answer is, I think Margarita was right. They are born with the fundamentals required to walk, actually. It's something, if you Google it, it's called infant stepping. If you have a baby above like a surface and move them above it, they'll walk left, right, left, right, left, right. It's pretty freaking amazing. However, if you try to do that with a month-old, 2-month-old, 3-month-old baby, will not work. They're born with this ability, with this know-how, but they lose it. They lose it because they're not using it, right? They're not practicing. They're not doing anything. They're on their backs all the time. And this is the same way for all of us. There are so many skills that all of us are born with that we know innately, but because we don't utilize those skills, because society doesn't promote those skills, we do not use them, and they eventually go away. So this is where I'm going to share with you today a couple concepts that I believe are completely fundamental to everyone. And if you do these simple things I share, you'll be super successful, you and your business. Really quickly, everyone can see the slides, correct? Thumbs up. Awesome. I see some shaking heads. So my name is Alex Tremble, and again, I'm so happy to be here with you today. I am both myself an executive coach and the CEO of GPS Leadership Solutions, which is a government contractor as well as private sector organization that works to help organizations develop, retain, and attract high-performing leaders, especially at the executive level positions. So me and my team have been doing this well over a decade thus far. We've number us a number of awards. I'm a best-selling author, speaker. I'm the host of the Executive Pill podcast, which I encourage y'all to check out. I have some pretty phenomenal people who come on that podcast because it's all focused on executive level thoughts and ideas. Like the chief diversity officer from Cisco was on a couple weeks ago, and I've had the now chief diversity officer for Disney on. So we talk about a lot of really great skills. In addition to that, we intentionally work with people to help them not only develop their careers, but also develop the culture of their organization. And my background specifically is in industrial and organizational psychology. But as Drake would say, I didn't start there. I started from the bottom, now I'm here. If you take a look at this very handsome guy, somewhat in the middle, that is me. That is me when I was 23 years old. It's crazy how time flies. I know I don't look any older because doesn't crack. But that's a long time ago. And that job, my role was to create and manage the Executive Leadership Development Program for the U.S. Department of the Interior. And I did that when I was 23 years old. It made absolutely no sense. But you don't look a gift horse in the mouth, right? So you take the opportunity. And in that role, I had the opportunity to work with some of the governments and some private sector's most senior level executives and notice and watch and be mentored and coached by them to see exactly what allowed them and their organizations to be successful and what others were doing that were just not working. And being a science mind myself, I decided to test the results of myself. I implemented their secrets into my life, and very quickly, my career began to take off. I've met the President of the United States twice. I've worked with many secretaries. I've worked with organizations such as Microsoft, a lot of large organizations, a lot of federal organizations, a lot of government organizations, a lot of both public and private organizations. All this is what I do now, travel around the country, and now virtually as well, speaking and sharing these ideas, and then my team come in and work on programs and policies to foster these ideas within organizations. So all of this led me to believe there's two premises that are extremely important for all of you to hear tonight. The first, relationships are critical to our success, period. Relationships are critical for our success, period. Here's the reality. Any high functioning organization is completely dependent on relationships, right? Whether it's relationships with your vendors, relationships within your organization, relationships with your stakeholders, and so on and so forth. They're all completely built on and dependent on relationships, just as leaders. Again, leaders can't do almost anything themselves. They're built on the relationships with their peers and their staff, and so on and so forth. And so, we found that it's when COVID happened, what all these people who were leaving and so on and so forth, they thought it was because they weren't happy with their organization. What research is actually bearing out is that they felt disconnected. They felt no belonging to anyone in the organization anymore because there were no connections. They were just someone in a room by themselves doing some computer work. And so what we found is that if you can build those relationships, very intentional, meaningful relationships within your office place, in your space, whether you're remote, hybrid, or any other type of way, you actually increase employee engagement, retention, and so on and so forth, and performance. Supporting DEI programs. This is one of our favorite places to work because a lot of organizations are doing it. They're trying to do it right, but they're doing it wrong. They're focused on what's called DEI education, not DEI elevation. DEI education is telling people why DEI things, DEI AB, and so on and so forth are important. Got it. Sure. We know it's important. But the reality is that telling people that this stuff is important is not the same thing as elevating people into the ranks, through the ranks to senior level positions. And what organizations like to do is say, oh, we're going to create a mentoring program, we'll create a leadership development program, we're going to teach them accounting and strategic management and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that is not what determines their success. Research has bared out over and over and over. 70% of jobs are never even posted online. 80% of jobs are given out what I like to call through the black market, your relationships. If you don't have leadership advancement programs, not development, leadership advancement programs and policies within your organizations, Yeah, sure, everyone will be trained as a leader, but you'll never actually advance them because it's all about the relationship, having meaningful relationships. And so my team comes in and helps develop those programs, policies, and so on and so forth. Y'all all know when you're negotiating, it's so much easier to have a difficult conversation with someone you have a relationship with. The same thing it goes for working with your team members, with customers and clients on important initiatives and so on and so forth. And I'm gonna keep us moving through, but this last piece is really important. Political savvy, right? Political savvy is really important. No one likes to talk about it, but political savvy is nothing more than being able to manage and navigate very difficult relationships with people, right? Who may have different means or different wants and desires as what you may have. And so how do you bridge those gaps in order for both of you to be successful? So this is the first piece. The first piece is just saying that relationships are critical for success, period. Second piece is this. Second premise, healthy relationships are transactional, period. Now, I want y'all to do me a favor. I want y'all to think of someone who you really care about. It could be a spouse, a partner, a best friend, whoever it is. Okay, you got someone in your head? Shake yes. Shake heads, yeah, thank you. So, let me ask you a question about that person. Are you and that person close because they give you something? Are you and that person close because they give you something? I see some no's, I see some yeses. To answer this very quickly to keep us on time, yeah, the answer is yes. Because they probably give you their time. They give you their compassion at the very least. They give you a shoulder to cry on. They give you their attention. Sometimes they may give you a sandwich or give you some money or give you an opportunity, but it's always about giving. If your time, everything about your time and your energy, those things are important. So when we talk about having a relationship with someone, it's about what are they giving me that makes me want to spend my time and my energy with them. And I tell people that healthy relationships, we be very careful. There are many relationships out there where one person is giving of him or herself and the other person isn't, just a mooch. That is not a healthy relationship. I would encourage you to run very fast if you're in that type of relationship. But any healthy relationship is you and that person giving of yourself to the other person. My wife gives me so much, and I love her for it, and I give to her. So the same thing goes with your relationships at work. How are you building in value? How are you giving people the things they want? How are they giving you the things that you want? That's the second premise. Is the inconvenient truth is that relationships are transactional. People don't like to think about this, but I promise you, if you can think of your relationships, your healthy relationships in this manner, it'll be so much easier to build relationships with people because now you're interested in saying, oh, it's not about me, it's about, what do I provide to that person that makes them feel like they're valued and so on and so forth. Oh, wow, let me think more about this. So the question then becomes, okay, we know relationships are important, but how do you actually do it? Do I have to be some super extrovert in order to actually make this work? We did a lot of research, hundreds of interviews, literature reviews, surveys, and so on and so forth. And what we found of individuals who were successful in their roles, not only successful, but remain successful, there were 4 things they did that resulted in their success in regards to relationships or an overarching success. And this is what we call the 4C connection model. Again, I encourage you to check it out. This is my most recent book of the 3 that I've published. I'm going to go through each of these fairly quickly, so don't rush to write this down, or you just scan the QR code and you can copy yourself. First thing is mindset change. Look, it doesn't matter what I or anyone teaches you. It doesn't matter if Steve is like, hey, look, I'm here to mentor you. I'm mentor the heck out of you with this stuff. If you don't have the right mindset, if you don't believe this stuff is important, if you don't believe relationships are important, then it doesn't matter what we teach. You're never going to do anything with it. I can't tell you how many people are like, oh no, I don't want to work. I know those people are getting ahead because they have relationships with the right people. All of you know someone who's got an opportunity just because they knew the right person, right? Right? Y'all know somebody who got the right opportunity from knowing the right person. Or even the customer came to them because they had a relationship with that customer they came in. We all know it's about relationships, but many people say, oh no, well, if I focus on relationships, that makes me not as good as the next person. I don't want to focus on relationships. I just want to work hard and one day they'll notice me. Doesn't work out too well for those people. So mindset is the first thing we work on, is how do you change that person's mindset? The second is internal clarity. When people think about building relationships with other people, they generally think about other people, but that's actually not the case. Really what you should be doing, if you're doing this intentionally and strategically, is thinking about yourself. What do I have access to that I can give someone? What are my goals? What are my needs? What are my desires? Where am I comfortable? Where am I uncomfortable? You can't decide who to spend your time with if you don't know where you're trying to go, or what you need, or what assets you may be able to provide to somebody else. You need to do a very deep dive into yourself. And again, that's whether you as the individual or you as an organization. You can say, okay, well, this is where my organization wants to go in so many years. So now we need to build relationships with this industry or with these clients or with these potential customers. But it always starts with understanding the self first. Once you move past the self, it's then external clarity. Okay, I know where I'm going. I know what I need. I know what direction I'm trying to head. Who can get me there? Where are they at? Who are their friends? Who are their enemies? What do they value? What are their needs? What are their wants? How can I get that to them? This is the external clarity piece. And then finally is behavior choice. Again, most people like to think about behavior in regards to, again, shaking someone's hand and look them in the eyes and things like that. But again, that stuff doesn't matter. Yes, it is important. What you say and do is absolutely important. But if you don't have external clarity, you're not focused on the right person, doesn't matter. If you don't have the internal clarity, if you don't know exactly where you're heading, at least at that moment, to go to the right person, doesn't matter. If you don't have the right mindset, you're never going to do anything anyways. So it doesn't matter. So that's why all four of these build up on each other. So internal clarity, the mindset change, internal clarity, external clarity, and then behavior choice. Now we're going to play a game in our final minutes. I want you to do me a favor. Okay, so there's some advice from this guy. I think he's some sort of like financial guy. I don't know if you've heard about it or not. But he has this quote. It says, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. This is meant for the stock market, financial. So if everyone's buying into something, you may want to take a step back, see if this is a real good investment. Maybe the price is now elevated and so on and so forth. So just be a little wary. If no one's looking into something, then maybe you say, oh, shoot, maybe there's an opportunity here, right? Okay, so here's the game. You walk into a room, and I need y'all to answer. I'm going to put your thoughts in the chat box. You walk into a room, you see three people. You see an entry-level employee, you see a mid-level manager, and you see a senior executive. Who do you spend your time relationship building with? Number one, the entry-level employee. Number two, the mid-level manager. Or three, the executive. Move quickly.
What's the reason that we're in this room?
Hey, you can't ask any questions. I'm
Okay.
asking the questions. The person that feeds me. So I'm going to keep moving. I know Steve's going to cut me off in a second. The answer, actually, Steve was going that direction. I believe that was Steve talking. It depends. It always depends. Because it depends on what you're looking for and who may have access to that information, resource, and so on and so forth. But I'll tell you, when we do this exercise, the vast majority of people, where do you think the vast majority of people go? The entry-level person and the mid-level manager.
Interesting.
Why? Oh, because I'm more relatable to them, right? Because the executive is so big, so smart, they wouldn't want to talk to me anyways. I think all of them are important. That's the most BS answer we get all the time. Because what you're saying is that it's bad to prioritize your time. It's bad to prioritize your attention. I'll tell you, I've been married for 17 years. If I didn't prioritize my wife over other people, we wouldn't be married for 17 years. Right? We are always prioritizing. So don't let society say that everyone is the same, because everyone is not. And two, and we're talking about Warren Buffett's ideas in regards to be greedy when people are fearful and fearful when people are greedy. then if most people are afraid to talk to the exec, then where might you want to spend some of your time? Why? One, they have power, but two, less competition. They let everyone else take themselves out the game. So I'm going to pause for questions and to breathe. And then if it's okay, I'll wrap up right after the questions.
Sure. Yeah, Alex, I have a question and a comment. First of all, what was the name of your podcast?
The Executive Appeal.
Executive. Okay, perfect. I just want to be able to check that out. Thank you very much. Second, I just had a comment on the transactional piece of relationships. I love how you phrase that and how you set that up, because I think there's a stigma that's attached to the word transactional that makes it feel like you're looking for something. And at first I was like, nah, that's not how my relationships work. But if I didn't get something back from somebody, I wouldn't want to have a relationship with them. So just a comment that made really perfect sense. I appreciate you saying that.
Hey, thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Do we have any questions for Alex before he wraps this presentation up? Anyone? See, this is what he was just talking about. Now nobody wants to talk to him because he's successful, he's intimidating. We're looking for somebody lower level to have an interaction with.
I see Glenn looking at me.
Well, Alex, I appreciate this as a business owner, as a person who's involved in the community. I think these are things that people can definitely learn from. I know I walk into a room, be it a leadership seminar, a chamber meeting, whatever it is, there's a tendency to go to the familiar, to the comfortable. And this reminds me that comfortability is great, but it doesn't take you anywhere further than you've already gone. So I appreciate you reminding us of that.
Thank you. I love that, Steve.
All right. Well, look, I'm definitely going to check out your podcast. I'm pulling it up on Spotify right now. We wish you plenty of success. Congratulations on your child. That's wonderful. And like I said before, you are more than welcome to stick around, and we'd love to see you again. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, kind sir. Y'all stay blessed, stay strong, I tell everyone, always stay strong, stay positive, and definitely stay moving.
Appreciate that, Alex. Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
See ya. I'll unshare my screen.
Okay, let's move on. We did have somebody come into the meeting, Josh Goldman. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Thank you so much for joining us today. We
Yes.
appreciate that.
Sorry I was a little late.
That's all right. That's all right. We appreciate you making it. I know sometimes things are busy, so the fact that you showed up is great.
You know, when the boss calls, you got to answer the phone.
Absolutely. I understand completely. Raymond, we do not have a fine master here today. Do we want to do fines?
I think we throw it open, Steve, and see what's out there.
All right. Does anybody have anything that they would like to find themselves for today? Something good, something bad, something that they want to talk about?
Oh my.
Wow.
Oh my.
All right. Well, look, I'm going to find myself.
Could you explain
Oh.
what the fines are? I'm a little
Absolutely.
green.
Great question. So every week, we allow members of the club to find themselves to talk about something that is fine, something that is not fine. For instance, I am going to find, and $5 is kind of the minimum fine. I'm going to find myself $28 today because Saturday is my wife and my 28th wedding anniversary. So I think that's a fitting fine for today. I don't know how she's done it for this long, but that's how fines work. So if you have something that you want to talk about, this would be a time to do so.
And I would add on that, Steve, and I guess I'll find myself $5 for tailgating on you, is that all the members of the club agreed to $125 a year in fines. And that's money we use in the foundation for the Rotary Foundation for the charitable work we do, like the teacher mini grants and various things like that. So that's what that money is. It's we've already agreed to it. And so you might as well, it's an excuse to tell us what's going on with your family or to promote your business or something like that. And that's really, other clubs use it in other ways. and it can be rather vicious in some of the bigger clubs. But here I was in Las Vegas, the big Rotary Club there, and the president said, I find such and such $500 for the new car he has. And so normally that's what goes on. We're not that kind of club, so that's my
Okay.
$5 worth.
So after you run
Right.
out of 120, are you you can't talk, you can't find?
No, we don't actually keep strict, you're gonna get invoiced, Josh, for $125, and it's up to you to keep, if you go to 300 for the year, nobody's gonna know. But now there are occasions when we have a speaker, we like had the speaker come in for Ukraine, and we call it a special finding session. And we raised $1,000 amongst our club to build windows, bombed out windows in Ukraine. And then you would get a pledge invoice from our foundation for that specific. Well, you'll know because we'll say, okay, we're gonna raise money for this. Let's find who wants to pledge, $100. But normally, do what you gotta do.
Understand.
So that was I'm finding you $5 for asking. There you go. That's your first fine.
All right.
All right. Would anybody else like to find themselves? Okay, we will move on to the Action 360 portion of the meeting. Raymond, let's talk about the Making Spirits Bright Orchid Sale.
Yeah, they've got their annual sale on 6/15, June 15th in Diamond Bar. I think orchids and their fresh orchids are $20 each. That's one of their fundraisers for providing Christmas gifts to enlisted personnel at 29 Palms and enlisted families at 29 Palms and Camp Pendleton. I told them I would mention that. We've got quite a bit of other stuff coming up too, Steve. On the 19th is our club assembly and our dinner. It's semi-annual for us, and that is installation of new members or usually new officers. And also our kickout party generally for a president, but Steve is doing a 2-year run, so there will be no kickout. So we have that coming up on the 19th. Next Wednesday is our board meeting, but our next events that are coming up. 9/28 is the food drive for 29 Palms and Camp Pendleton, and we're going to be including Fort Irwin. And so we're just gearing up for that. I sent the letter out, the proposed flyer out to LA County Department of Military and Veteran Affairs to see what we can get for sponsorship on that. So we're just beginning to work on that. We are beginning to work also on the Marine Corps dinner in November. We have secured the keynote speaker. It'll be Colonel Sean Matroka, Sean Matroka, retired USMC. I know Rita heard him speak. He is the current Grandmaster of Masons in California. He'll be the past Grandmaster when he speaks. We've also booked for dinner entertainment that night an Andrew Sisters tribute group called the Lindy Sisters, and they will do a 45-minute dinner show that night. And we have the servers, and we did some meal planning, so we're pretty far ahead on the November 10th. The next thing will be going out and selling tickets and sponsorships. I think the most important thing we might want to talk about in Head Case is Marilyn and I are working on the trivia night for the 2026 committee. And I approached that with 2026 that 80% would go to them and 20% would go to the San Dimas Rotary Foundation. So we all kind of got a dog in that fight. Marilyn, did you want to talk about that briefly?
So I connected with San Dimas City Manager Chris Constantine to see if we could use one of the two buildings, either the Plummer Building or the Senior Center. We were granted the Plummer Building on Friday night, October 11th, at no charge because the City of San Dimas has deemed the 2026 committee the official committee for the 2026 celebrations. And so they have been very helpful in coordinating this. And the city is also willing to promote the event on their social media and whatever channels that they use. And they're looking to put together a team to enter into the trivia challenge. So we've got city support, which is great. Once we figure out the food, then we can then go down the rabbit hole of pricing and we can start promoting. So I'm hoping that there will be a chamber team, a San Dimas Little League team, a Masonic Lodge team, a State Farm team, you get the picture.
So I've spoken to Chick-fil-A. We've got a soft approval of 200 meals, box meals. And we'll get a hard approval. What they want to look at, it comes in their last quarter, which is good because they haven't looked at their marketing stuff in the quarter. And when I talked to them, I said, you know, we're about to do the flyer. It'd be lovely to put Chick-fil-A on the flyer. And that will be going out very widely. Also, I did all the business filings for the 2026, San Dimas 2026, so that the foundation can open up a separate checking account. That's all completed and it's just needs to be published now. The service is taking care of that. So I think Marilyn and I are gonna in the next week or so have a brainstorming session. We'll get to that there. I see that margarita. We'll get that in a minute. Are gonna have a brainstorming session between the two of us, just right, I guess, to start. Anybody else who'd like to be there to start to kind of a thought experiment kind of thing to get through the night and then see what we need to do to fix and get this off. So it's gonna be it's a trivia night and it's gonna be formed around Revolutionary War trivia. And so it should be a lot of fun. And then Rita, popcorn. What did you have to say about popcorn?
Just a reminder that it's coming up and that everybody needs to download that Double Good app. Because that app is will be the one that provides the code that everybody shares on social media, email, and whatnot. That way it kind of keeps track of how much everybody's selling, and in the end I will have a final number and we get 50% of that final number.
Cool. And we need to, at the June 18th, 2026 committee meeting, we need to focus in on getting every one of the members to download that app at that meeting. We'll be doing that via Zoom. So maybe just be prepared to kind of walk everybody through downloading it and getting it done, if you wouldn't mind.
I would not. June 18th?
Yeah, that's our next meeting. It's 7:30. We moved it to 7:30 because, well, everybody meets up until 7:30 apparently on that night. The only other thing we've got is calendar stuff, Steve, but that's pretty much 360. We at the board meeting, we need to talk about officers and we need to figure out our budget for next year too. That's gonna be an important board meeting, I think, next Wednesday. Are you still there, Steve? You're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I had muted myself for a moment. I apologize. Yeah, so again, with the board meeting next week, yes, board members obviously need to be there, but as a member of this club, you are a de facto board member. And we would very much like you to attend, especially when we're talking about items like the budget. If there are projects or things you think we should budget for, this is when we do it. So please, if you can attend next Wednesday, it would be greatly appreciated and welcomed. I know you went over a lot of the calendar, Raymond, but if you want to throw it up there just so we can take a closer look.
I'm getting to it there, brother. Let's see here. What we got here? Okay. Okay, so you can see we're at the end of the year. The only thing we have left for this Rotary year ends June 30th is board meeting and then our club assembly. We always have a really good time at the club assembly at Zendejas. So it's very informal, but the club buys the meal. So please be there. And we always love it when you bring your spouse or your significant other, or, you know, a partner. That's cool. I'll need you to let you know how many are going to be there. We have reserved for 20 though. So please be there. That's the next thing. Next Rotary year, we already have stuff that's already got great speakers. Maryland has provided 2 of them for the date of the Noon Club, Team Referral Network, and Leading with Strengths. And then we'll have the Jewish Federation, and then Brian Major, Training for Triumph. He's another motivational speaker, and also for the club for the Satellite Club has great speakers too. And particularly tonight, their speaker is First Lieutenant Robin Bartlett, 1st Platoon A Company, 1st Battalion, 5th Cavalry, 1st Cavalry Division, Air Mobile. And he's going to talk about what it was like in Vietnam to do combat helicopter assaults. And so that should be, for the military club, a really fascinating meeting. So that's our calendar, Steve. We're still full of great speakers.
Fantastic. Thank you much. And speaking of the fact that Maryland has brought in speakers, I would love at some point, Maryland, especially because this broadcast goes out on Facebook Live, it goes out to the local public access channel. and add to that your connection to the Department of Insurance. I think a really healthy presentation to talk to people about the current homeowner situation in California and nationwide. So maybe that's something we could get on the calendar, because I know
idea.
there's a lot of questions and a lot of rumors and a lot of fear, and getting some straight answers would be, I think, really good for residents of San Dimas, so they kind of know what's going on.
Happy to help.
Fantastic. Okay, Raymond, let's move on to the four-way test.
There it is.
Okay, Mike is not here, so I will go through this, and Josh, I know this is your first meeting. So the four-way test is something that was developed by Rotarians, and it's something that we strongly we talk about a lot. It's really important. You can use in both your personal and professional life. And it simply goes like this: of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Basically, if you're looking at a decision and all of the answers to these questions are yes, you know you're on the right path. So folks, thank you very much for attending today. I can't believe it's already June. I can't believe my first year is basically over. It's been a good ride, and we look forward to continuing it. We will see you all next week for the board meeting, and then hope to see everybody at our club assembly on June 19th. Everybody have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.